I talked to a student recently at one of our woke college campuses who said she's required in every class to introduce herself and to give her pronouns. Well, I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
Yes, that is his pronoun. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. I know, Tim. I know. I got to get the stuff uploaded. Don't you worry. Hey, everyone. It is. Well, it's no way Thursday. There's some stuff happened today. I'm like, no, just what planet are we on? All right. Well, I tried to beam me up, Scotty, last week. Didn't work. So this week I'm just going, no way. Where do we start? Let's start with this. This is your show, even though it's Monday through Friday, but it is just the preparedmind.club and subscribestar.com. Go there, sign up for $2 a month, and you can join us daily in the afternoon and talk about what happened during the day, live, right now. Pow! What is happening? Let's do this. Let's just dig right in. Yeah, we got a lot of weird stuff. Let's go here. This shocked me. There was a trial. Andy Ngo, N-G-O, Andy Ngo. He's the guy that goes to all the protests in the West Coast and Portland mostly, and he likes to report on all of the violence that goes on in Portland as the lunatics are still in charge there. And there are people leaving the city, businesses leaving the city, people calling the city leaders idiots, morons, et cetera, for what they've done or rather haven't done about the crime. If you remember, even the mayor of Portland had his house invaded by Antifa, taken over by Antifa. These people are nuts. Anyways, Andy Ngo has been assaulted, hospitalized, put in ICU, I believe, for a brain injury, attempted murder. So he decided he's going to sue. That's right, sue the Antifa members that they were able to identify. Well, he took them to court. And in the closing arguments, the defense attorney did some rather disgusting things. And I'm going to say that this attorney and her buddies and the people she defended, there is no stronger proclamation for permanent removal from the planet than what these people have done and are doing and will do in our future. The defense attorney in Portland, folks, proclaimed solidarity with Antifa and actually threatened the jurors the way Antifa threatens people. So, yeah, I said it, threatened the jurors. So one of the attorneys, apparently there's several attorneys defending these absolute reprobate scumbags. This one was named Michelle Burrows. And her behavior at the very least was shameful. And I actually think illegal. During closing arguments, she declared, folks, proclaimed, stated for the whole world to hear that she was Antifa. That's right, the lawyer was Antifa, and told jurors that she would, quote, remember their faces. When an Antifa member says, I'm going to remember your face, that, as far as I'm concerned, is a real and direct threat. They remembered Andy Ngo. Every time he'd show up the last couple of years at a protest, they would recognize his face. You bet. They recognized his face. And they attacked him. They beat him senseless multiple times. And that's why he filed this complaint in 2020. That's right. We're in 2023, almost 2/3 of the way through. literally 2/3 of the way through. And we're finally getting to the trial and closing arguments. He claimed that assault and other injuries occurred because of the violence carried out by Antifa members, which actually started in 2019, folks. He had 2 members that he named directly. One named Hacker, who is an incredibly ugly person. And I mean ugly as in he looks like ugliness. And another one named Richter accused them of assault, battery, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. In other words, constantly threatening to kill him. So, July 31st, just a few days ago, they finally got their civil trial started. And Andy Ngo was asking for $1 million in damages. My thing is how are you going to get blood out of a turnip? Not gonna happen, folks. Not gonna happen. So this attorney says she's going to remember their faces. That's what she said to the jury. Why is that not jury tampering? To threaten them? I don't know why that's not illegal, because it should be. It really should be. I've got another little quote here that I want to get to you because it's important. It's important. Right. John Colin Hacker and Elizabeth Renee Richter are doxers. Doxers. That's what they do, is they find people's identity. So isn't that interesting, folks, that this lawyer said, hey, I'm going to remember your faces. They're going to find out who the people are, right? The jurors. Now, during the closing statements, once again, Michelle Burrows, she identified. Isn't that interesting that she self-identified as a progressive, which means socialist? And folks, get this. She made herself a quote, a t-shirt that says, I am Antifa. And she said she was going to wear that after the trial. Who cares, right? Antifa is violent, they're terrorists, everything else. She told the jury, folks, get this, that Antifa's reputation is untrue and depicted the militant, anti-fascist, pro-communist scumbags as fighting for social justice and civil rights. That's what you do when you, I guess you assault and beat Andy Ngo. And by the way, he's gay. I don't know why that, I don't know why because their agenda is more important. And what happened? They let him off, folks. The jury gave in. The jury gave in. They allowed these scumbags to get away with it. That's what happened. It's unbelievable, folks, what is going on in this country. This is what was said, right? I can't wait for you to come out, Andy. You thought the milkshakes were bad last time, meaning you got your skull kicked in and all you could do is suck milkshakes. We are going to break the fuck out of you, bitch. That's what they said. That's what this person said to him. And she's let off. No problem. Nope. We had evidence, medical evidence, video evidence. You would think that a gay man who was assaulted by these freaks just might get some justice. I don't know why they aren't being charged with crimes. This is civil court, folks. Civil court. But the jury let Hacker and Richter off scot-free, folks. And perhaps it was because the defense attorney threatened them. Welcome to stupid land, clown world, and SHTF. That's exactly where we're at. Where do you think you're at? The area you live around, what's going on there? Are you prepared with food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense? Remember when Antifa burned down cities with Black Lives Matter? Remember when Antifa beat people, murdered people, assaulted police, tried burning police alive inside police stations? It's out there, folks. It's all around us. It's all around us. I'll give you some more, though. the Michigan attorney, Stephanie Lambert. Well, guess what? She questioned, how dare you, Stephanie Lambert, attorney, question the 2020 election. And now she's being prosecuted by Democrats. This is what's going on, folks. This is the Democrat world. You will obey or else. Are you prepared to face the consequences for wanting to be free and independent? Once again, I'm going to ask the question. Do you recall wondering why the people of Germany allowed the Nazis to take over? Do you remember that? I used to ask the same question. How stupid could they be? How weak and feeble could the German people be? Good God. I'm almost ashamed to call myself of German descent. Well, I'll tell you why. It's because of this type of activity. When criminals, whether on the street or government agents, like the FBI, are allowed to assault people, prosecute them, try them, right? Charge them with crimes, try them in court, give them fake juries, fake grand juries, fake judges. They're fake. They're not real. They're there for one reason and one reason only, and that's to prosecute and destroy. And if they can get away with it, much, much worse. Much worse. That's the America we live in, folks. Just a few years ago, I remember it was the land of the free and the home of the brave. A couple decades, you bet, a couple decades ago, no problem. Today, it's crazy, right? Thug life. Here's another one. A search warrant that has details about the 6-year-old boy who shot his teacher with a gun. Well, they unsealed it. They opened it up. They allowed the public to see. And the quote from the kid is, "I shot that bitch dead." This is what they think of people they don't like. And if they feel, right, if their feelings are hurt, they'll come after you. I'm not afraid, folks. I'm not afraid of these people. Yeah, if they start threatening you, you feel offended and pissed off and violated. I'm not threatening to hurt any of them. They threaten to hurt me and people like you. Don't turn tail. Don't give in. Don't give up. This is America, and freedom, virtue, justice will win. Ultimately, it's going to win. Ultimately, it's going to win. Wow. Good golly. Let me give you some more. No way. This is bullshit. No, this is true, folks. This is absolutely true. And I want to thank, I believe it was Orlando for getting this to me. A judge ordered attorneys for the company called Southwest. You've heard of Southwest. It's an airline, right? Who hasn't heard of Southwest? Well, these attorneys were told by a judge that they must attend training by a pro-LGBTQ plus group. That's right. And guess what makes this worse? It's a Trump-appointed judge that did this to the attorneys for Southwest. That's right, folks. Brantley Starr, federal judge, decided he was going to order attorneys for a powerful airlines to undergo, quote, religious liberty training. Right? This is crazy. The Texas district judge ordered that the Alliance Defending Freedom organization, which is called a Christian legal army by its founder, provided the training despite the group's history of trying to roll back LGBTQ plus rights and strengthen religious protections. Now, the Alliance Defending Freedom has been labeled by the Southern Poverty Law Center, the SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center, as a hate group because it supported the recriminalization of sexual acts between adults, LGBTQ adults, and criminalization everywhere. You're going to love this. The Alliance Defending Freedom, which is called a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center, and is associated with Southwest Airlines, right? It has defended state-sanctioned sterilization of trans people abroad. It's contended that these fruit salad people are more likely to engage in pedophilia, and claims that their agenda, their LGBTQ agenda, is going to destroy Christianity and society. Is there any evidence out there to support that their position has any merit? The pedophilia claim, the violence. Now, what gets me is whether or not their claim has merit, whether or not you believe their claims, whether or not you think they're a bunch of religious fruitcakes. Right? It doesn't matter what you or I think about their claims. I don't have to listen to them. I don't have to believe them. Right? This is quite interesting. Freedom of speech. Now, this punishment, folks, comes from a 2021 case where the transport union workers in Southwest were found guilty of discrimination because they fired a flight attendant, Charlene Carter, because she had pro-life beliefs, and she gave them or shared them with the union president. So the judge ordered this girl to be rehired, and they're not allowed to discriminate. They're not allowed to discriminate against someone, whether they express their thoughts on social media or in person, whatever. You're not allowed to threaten them. You're not allowed to fire them. But wait a minute, cancel culture. Cancel culture will get rid of you if you are pro-life and they find out, if you're pro-Trump and they find out, if you're pro-freedom and they find out, if you're pro-America and they find out, right? It's unbelievable, right? Interesting stuff, folks. That's the world we live in. It's kind of a confusing article to read. It is. But the Alliance Defending Freedom organization has to get this training. I don't know what's going on anymore. I really don't know what planet we're on. I don't care if they don't like it. It's just the whole system is falling apart. It just truly is. It truly is. It's falling apart. And when good people speak up, they get destroyed. They get attacked. And then when you go to court, the bad guys get away with it. You don't have free speech. You don't have anything. You don't have any rights, is what the left thinks. And if they get you into court, they're gonna command that you take sensitivity training and all kinds of training so you understand them. Well, I think more people need to do what this person did. A Seattle police officer, folks, retired now, just lampooned the city council in the resignation letter, called the mayor spineless, and said that the city council is extremist. Is there any doubt in your mind that that's the case, looking at what's going on around the country? When these disgusting slobs that call themselves progressive, what do they want to do to this country? Look who is in the White House. They are just as progressive and just as nasty, except they're using the law, or rather legislation, to try and steal our rights. While on the street, they'll beat your rights right out of you. Once again, are you prepared on the street? Who do you trust? I don't trust anyone, folks. I keep a close eye on everybody. Everybody. I don't trust anyone. I don't even trust doctors. That's right, folks. There's a new bug variant just in time for the upcoming campaign season. That's right, folks. Health experts. Are they experts? Who are these health experts? Well, they're the government and stuff. So we should believe them like we did back in 2020 and find out it's all a crock of shit. It's the playbook, folks. They're going back to their playbook. We need to take pages out of their playbook and use them for ourselves. Don't go to a protest unarmed, because someone's going to beat you within an arm's length of death. It is that kind of world. I sure hope you've got a lot of questions out there. I hope you're ready. We got the prepared mother and the prepared man in the background. They're working behind the scenes to get your questions up on the board and ready to go. We got a few more minutes. I got some more stuff I want to talk about. And then we're going to get to your questions on this No Way Thursday. And it's just, everything is kind of, it's like, you've got to be kidding me. No way. Right? No way. This is a big no way because I know the town very well. I've never actually been to Paradise, California, that quaint, quiet, rural community that was burned to the freaking ground. People were displaced, thousands of people. And no rebuilding that town. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. If you can't get people to leave the country and go to the cities, then you may as well just burn them out, huh? Well, in Maui, you bet, folks. Now 36 people are dead because of these wildfires in Lahaina. How is it that people cannot get away from these fires? What is about these fires that makes it so hard to get away from them? I know fires can move quickly and in a big windstorm. I get it. But houses, folks, they take a while to catch fire and then become very hot and get out of control. It doesn't happen like that unless, you know, there's an accelerant being used or some other technology. Anyways, I'm very sad and upset that 36 people died. And also in downtown Lahaina is what's known as the banyan tree. Takes up a city block. One tree takes up an entire city block. It has been charred by the fire. Hopefully not dead. It is it's a ceremonial tree. It's a very precious and loved tree and area. And this is, I think, just an awful, awful tragedy. But that's what our world now is. Even in the paradise of Maui, the anti-human policies and practices are being extended. They truly are. They truly are. Now, this is one more here. Okay, Planned Parenthood and the ACLU. You've heard of these people, right? Planned Parenthood. They want to give everyone abortions. No new babies. And the ACLU, which used to be concerned about people's rights. Oh, you're going to love whose rights they're defending now, folks. Get this. The ACLU and Planned Parenthood are fighting against child marriages. They want children to get married. You know what happens when people get married, right? Right. Now they get to have sexual intercourse with each other. Isn't this fascinating? Can you see where this is going to lead? Now, the most insane thing about this is it's the state of California that is trying to ban child marriages. What the hell is going on in California? Now it doesn't want to be communist pedophile land? But yeah, they want to pass that in the ACLU and the abortion masters, Planned Parenthood. They don't want that. They don't want children being banned from marriage. But let me tell you where this leads. If they win this and they get it rolled back, well, hell, children should be able to get married. Minor attracted persons, MAPS. Remember that group of LGBTQIA people plus? They like the idea of being attracted to minors. And children should be able to marry whoever they want, right? Children should be able to vote. Children should be able to do anything sexual they want, is what these people believe. Well, they can't own a gun, can't own a rifle, can't own a shotgun, shouldn't be able to do that, but no. They can just, they're just sick people. These fucking people are sick. Planned Parenthood wants children to get married. And they also want children to have abortions. Where do you think this leads? What an abomination. It's a total desecration of all that is good, normal, moral, and decent. I can see where this leads. You can see it. I couldn't believe it when I heard Chelsea Clinton defending pedophilia well over a decade, probably 2 decades ago. Chelsea Clinton. and congressman, now retired, and I don't know where he's at or if he's even alive, Tom DeLay. I think he was the House Minority Whip for the Republicans back in the early 2000s, said this is what they want to do. They want to legalize pedophilia, homosexuality. They want to teach this stuff in schools, all of these things, folks, these disgusting, this is what they want to do. While they keep the border open, blow our money on weapons they want to send to other countries to start wars. And here we are, stuck in the middle of it all. Just absolutely stuck in the middle of it all. It's maddening, it's frustrating, and it just makes me go, look, no way. And now we're going to deal with this. Yes, folks, now we're going to deal with this. And there's something else going on out there. There's a very powerful and wealthy organization called GBI Strategies. It's been uncovered in a Michigan police report that they have committed serious election crimes. They had rifles with silencers on them, guns, money, incredible, incredible, incredible crimes. And all tied, folks, to the Biden administration. Surprise, surprise, surprise. They were involved in ballot box stuffing, allegedly, and many other things. Many, many other crimes of 2020. No, there's no problem there. You know what? They were worried about the negativity and the negative fallout of challenging the election and election deniers. Incredible, folks. Incredible. You want deniers? You want deniers? The climate psyops, right? This climate crap. Everything is a psychological operation. It's begun. Everything carbon-based, folks, is bad. Right? Fuel, they want to outlaw fuel, natural gas. They want to claim there's a climate emergency so that you can't do anything, go anywhere. Right now, I want to say this. As a carbon-based life form, am I a living pollutant that can be legislated into submission since I'm dangerous as a climate pollutant? Since when are my rights? This is a question I have. Since when are my rights to be superseded by a so-called crisis that has nothing to do with my existence, my travel, my rights, my right to life, liberty, in pursuit of my very own happiness? Since when does my happiness, which is a right, need permission to be exercised? Well, if they declare an emergency, a crisis, well, now your rights are suspended. They keep thinking that an emergency allows them special rights. No. Special authority? No. Special power? No. Right? And if there can be no damage that can be attributed to the minuscule carbon that I consume or emit, then I cannot be stopped or impeded, nor taxed for exercising a right. Government can only prohibit, regulate, or tax benefits. So F you, Biden, and all of this, folks. Are you prepared? Now, on top of this climate crap, a climatologist, a scientist who was once celebrated by these climate crisis advocates, she's come out and said that the, quote, overwhelming consensus on climate change is manufactured. Now, this climatologist, this climate scientist, folks, once celebrated, had rock star treatment. She got rock star treatment because the data that she suggested was valid was in line with the United Nations narrative. Well, it turns out her research had some errors, and they were pointed out to her, but she corrected them and found that she was wrong about the climate crisis that she was working on, which is the intensity and frequency of hurricanes. Well, she was wrong, so she went back to the drawing board, corrected her problems, demonstrating that this particular scientist wasn't dogmatic, but an actual scientist. Her rock star status changed since she wouldn't make the assumptions that, well, the other scientists in the United Nations wanted. So she's come out now and pointed out that careers are being made. And if you say the right words and push for climate change consensus, then all of a sudden you get money, you get grants, you get funding. Because the people that want this climate crisis crap, they have cash for climate conclusions, and the climate pimps are very happy to pay and push for it. What I say needs to happen is there needs to be an investigation and trials for the fraud, right? I think there ought to be trials for scientific fraud because they claim to be what? Smart, brilliant, good. The government relies on expert testimony. And what do we get out of the National Institutes of Health, the Centers for Disease Control? Yeah, we get that. Thank you, Dr. Fauci. What do we get from the climatologists? We get a bunch of hooey and bullshit because they're getting paid to say hooey and bullshit. And they want to tax us and try and control our lives and tell us carbon is bad. Hey, are you ready for this? Matter can be neither created nor destroyed, certainly not by human activity, me and you. So if I weren't alive, my body would decompose and the carbon wouldn't go anywhere. I don't make carbon. I don't make any more carbon than there already is. I'm just John. Good golly. I tell you what, it is now time to go to the inner circle with you. Well. Let's get right into it. Who wants to talk? Who's got something to say? Jolene, Ooman, who wants to step up first? And it's Cyber Hana checking in. I hope everything's going well with you, Cyber Hana. She says, what are your thoughts about the possibility of the Brics nations who all want to rule the world start turning on each other, say 10, 20 years down the road? I mean, hell, it's going to take us that long to straighten this country out anyways. Is it possible to turn this around? Granted, many years and many lives lost. Well, this is a great topic. Okay, so the Brics nation, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and a couple dozen others that are creating their own union, if you will. Economic trade unions, financial, monetary trade unions. By unions, I mean groups, right? Kind of like the European Union, the EU is a wannabe United States of America, right? It's just a way to control people, these fucking unions. So the reason they created Brics is because the United States government, along with other, shall we say, central banks, have decided they're going to punish some countries, namely Russia, but other countries as well, like, Iran, and said, well, you can't use our US dollars. Those are our dollars. We're just letting you use them in your trade. So they're like, you know what? Well, fuck yourselves. We're going to create our own currencies for international trade. We don't need the dollar. So let's see, it is the 10th. In 12 days, a Brics meeting is happening in South Africa, and no Emmanuel Macron, leader of France, you're not allowed to attend. They told him to stuff it. The Brics people want their own currency, their own trade, so that they have more free trade. Now, to address Cyber Hana's question, well, in 10 or 20 years, are they going to turn on each other? Of course. These people, these megalomaniac leaders will try and screw each other over. If they think they can have more power, more money, more control, more fame, of course they will. But it's going to take 10 or 20 or 30 years for it to happen. In the meantime, they need to build a strong, reliable currency. That's what they're trying to do. That's what we've been told they want to do. The purpose of which is to get away from the US dollar, get away from Europe, and benefit from their hard work and not pay the United States government the inflation. That's right. If they lose 10%, if the US dollar loses 10% a year, how's it feel in your wallet, right? What's in your wallet? 10% less. The same thing happens to Russia and China and Brazil and India, which is about half the world's population right there. and these other countries. They're tired of losing 10% to inflation. That is the money printing going on. The U.S. makes fluff, blue sky, fresh air, and they call it money. Well, the other countries are tired of that. So, yeah, I bet in 10, 20 years, as they become more free, more prosperous, more successful, and shall we say more clever, when they figure out how to screw around with the system. Now, one of the things they're trying to do, Cyberhana, and what they're discussing is the use of precious metals, gold, silver, any other commodities of value, whatever a country has as part of its gross domestic product, whether it's agriculture, mining, shall we say manufacturing and production, or combination of those things to back their currency, to make any currency more reliable, more stable, that it needs to be backed by something real. Now, the Bank for International Settlements, BIZ, has rules. They're like the central bank for all the central banks, including the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve of the United States of Washington, D.C., that one is not the world's most powerful bank. It just happens to be the bank that's a private bank that gets to loan fresh air, money, bullshit. They create nothing. They just print off digits. Let's hand them a slip of paper. There's another $1 trillion. Go ahead and spend it. So they put all those trillions of dollars out there. Thank you, Joe Biden. And it waters down the amount of money that's out there. That's inflation. They want to take that away, right? The BIZ, Bank for International Settlements, has decided a couple years ago that gold is now a tier 1 asset, that a bank may hold gold and it has on its books 100% value. Before it used to be, well, if you've got $2 million in gold, it's only valued at $1 million for your books, bookkeeping. You're only allowed to say it's half of what it is. How fucking stupid is that? Anyways, it is now 100%. So central banks everywhere around the world, rich people everywhere around the world have been doing what? Buying gold, taking it off of the market, out of the COMEX, out of the London Bullion Market Association, the LBMA. They're taking the gold, they're buying it. The gold is getting sucked out of the system. In addition to that, folks, there are bank runs going on right now. Have you heard? Crickets, right? Crickets. No, there's no bank runs going on. Well, what if I told you this? You and me, some of you have money. Some of you are wealthy. Some of you are doing great, and that's awesome. Very happy about that. A lot of us don't have a lot of cash, right? We're having to work our butts off week to week just to keep ahead, and that's a lot of people's story. You know, I don't have $10,000 in cash in the bank, but people who do have a lot of cash, they're going to their bank. They're not demanding cash. They have cash value. Cash value. And they're not demanding cash. They don't go in with a suitcase or a duffel bag or a wheelbarrow and say, give me all my money. What they want is a piece of paper. You know, a piece of paper. A cashier's check. Or make an electronic transfer out of the bank they're in into other banks or other investments. And so there is a bank run, but it's invisible because it is only people with money who are doing it, moving their money from one bank to another, out of regional banks into banks that are more protected. There is a quiet exodus out of sectors in the banking world. Expect more bank failures. Did you hear about the last 2 bank failures in the last couple of weeks? I bet you didn't. I didn't cover it very much, but it occurred. At some point, folks, at some point, the Federal Reserve and the federal government is going to say, no more bailouts. We're not going to float you money to keep you alive. They're going to start doing those bail-ins, which is something you and I have talked about for several years now, at least 5 years. That is to say that you do not own the money that you have on deposit in a bank. It's no longer deposit. It is an unsecured loan. And if the bank goes broke, you don't get your money back. And I think the FDIC has $100 billion. That sounds important, doesn't it? $100 billion. Wow. Well, no, there's trillions of dollars in assets being held by banks. There's not enough money in the FDIC to cover if bank after bank fails. And what they're trying to avoid is a systemic domino style reaction where one bank fails, then another, then another, then another. This is going to cost us, Cyberhana, many, many, many lives, because on the street, you're going to be dealing with Antifa and BLM. You're going to be dealing with hungry people. You're going to be dealing with corrupt government if it exists. In other places, there'll be no more government because, well, paramedics and EMTs and doctors and firemen and police officers and everyone is going to be running for their lives and protecting themselves, not running around and trying to protect everyone else. In other words, it'll be like 2020. You pick up the phone and say, I need help. And they'll say, you're on your own. And that is when being a prepper is number one. Number one. All right, let's do it. That was one question. Shoot, that took a long time. Great question, great topic, good stuff in there. Let's see who wants to step in next. We've got Jane Dixon. She says, I guess a 70-year-old man is dangerous to Biden. It's actually a 75-year-old man. That's right. Add another 5 on that, Jane. He's dangerous to Biden. Across the country, a SWAT team of murdering thugs called the FBI were called in and they took him out. Where is your line in the sand, folks? Apparently for this guy. Now, his neighbors, his family all said he was a quiet, morbidly obese, 75-year-old man who could barely shuffle along with a cane. Supposedly, this old man, he was making threats on social media against the president of the United States. How dare you threaten that great, great, great grand pedo Joe? Right. And so they showed up. Apparently there was some altercation, some talking, and he was shot dead. Well, not before. Of course, they threw I think it was either a smoke grenade, flashbang, tear gas grenade. They threw some kind of grenade at him. Reports are unclear at this time. Can't get a straight answer out of these fucking people. And somehow the old man went from his porch to the street where he bled to death. He bled out. Yeah, 75-year-old, morbidly obese, 90% crippled old man was a threat to Biden in Utah. Where's your line in the sand? Are you willing to go quietly and get locked up like the January 6ers because you don't agree with the LGBTQ, you don't agree with Antifa and BLM, you don't agree with the climate crisis freaks, you don't agree with the systematically feminized and emasculated military, you don't agree with the southern border policy, you don't agree with doctors and their Jim Jones shoes, you don't agree with the lawyers and your free speech, you don't agree with your Second Amendment privilege that the government says you have and they want to take away. No, it's actually a right. It's incredible to me how we've gone from here to here. We've gone from way down here to I'm choking on all the crap they want to feed us. Crazy stuff. Jane, pay attention. Make your line in the sand, folks. Get prepared. Who is next? Mr. Uman. Jolene, who wants to step in? Uman does. He says that old guy, meaning the 75-year-old, should have been charged the way every single talking head and celebrity should have been charged for threatening Trump or any other Republican. True. That old guy should have been charged exactly the way Madonna was. Oh, wait, Madonna wasn't charged. Mad Maxine Water wasn't charged. Every celebrity, every politician, every big mouth, every attorney, every social media idiot who wanted Trump dead, wanted him threatened, wanted his family hurt, none of them were charged. So this old guy should have been charged the same way with crickets. Who cares? It's an old guy talking. Instead, as far as I'm concerned, this is a psychological operation. That's my opinion, man. It's a psychological operation. This guy could have been ignored, and who would give a shit? He's not a young man. The president is not going to his neighborhood in Utah, so he's not a risk. He's not a threat, right? They could have watched him the way they watched all these other mass murderers. And if he made a big move, like getting on a plane to go to DC, then you might want to stop him and ask him a few questions. It's like, well, you made a few threats and now you're taking a rifle to Washington, D.C. Maybe we ought to have a talk. What are you up to there, old man? Right? Now we have reasonable suspicion that you're doing something. This is the world we live in. Are you prepared? This man shouldn't have been charged with or even screwed with. He's an old guy. Maybe they should have just sent him a letter in the mail and said, you might want to pipe down there, Grandpa. Right? Keep it calm, dude. Have a nice shot of scotch. You'll be fine. Now, H12 checks in and says, man, could the old dude have been committing suicide by cop? Well, it could have been. It very well may have turned into that at the time. Let's just say, for example, that he wanted suicide by cop. And so he started making all these threats. His family and friends and neighbors had no indication that that was the case. I know that people who are suicidal, oftentimes they hide it very well. Could have been. He could have been in pain. He could have been in anguish. He could have been sick of all the bullshit going on. He could have suicided by cop himself by making an example of himself. You bet. Or he could have just been an old guy who was cantankerous and didn't want to be screwed with when the FBI showed up and was like, I don't care what you darn kids want. Get off my land. Get off my grass. Right? I ain't coming with you. You can stuff it up your little asses. You might like that, though, since you're a bunch of fruit salad freaks from Washington, D.C. Right? You can just hear this old guy giving them the what for. And, folks, they gave it back. Once again, I have it on good authority that every one of these little law degree having FBI punks are a bunch of actual sissies who think they're badasses. Once again, there are not 500,000 FBI agents out there. And if there were, there's still another 345,500,000 Americans, not all of whom are Republicans, but a great deal of them are. We outnumber them, we outgun them, we outarm them, we outammo them, and we outfreedom them. And we need to start expressing our political will by using our First Amendment right, by writing, texting, calling the people in Washington, D.C. Gotta keep it clean. Are you prepared? Okay, und next. Who is up? Who is up next? It's Uman again. He goes, what that guy did and what happened to him because of it is why we tell people to be careful what you say in chats and other social media. That's right. That's why he says it'll be coming out to our doorsteps soon enough. No, no need to attract unnecessary attention to ourselves. Kind of like a gray man thing. Well, I don't want to be the first one that gets a visit from these freaks and ding-dongs. Well, this old guy was one of the first to get a visit and find out that it's a deadly, deadly, deadly potential visit. And in his case, it was deadly, right? Understand social media is being listened to. I'm listened to all the time. And I say, hey, don't be violent. Don't do anything harmful or dangerous. Don't threaten people. Play nice, but understand where this is all going. Just the stuff I talked about just today, not yesterday or the day before or last week, a month ago, the whole last year, all the way back to 2020, into the teens. Every example I give is demonstrating exactly how things are going down, 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 down. They're trying to take this country down. And they'll do it one old man at a time if they can get away with it. At some point, they will have shot their last old man or old woman. They'll have assaulted and arrested and jailed their last patriotic American. They will have insulted and probably shot and prosecuted their last veteran who is standing up for someone else, looking out for someone else's rights. They will have insulted and then harmed the last child. And someone somewhere, folks, is going to step up, and there'll be a face-off. There'll be a penalty. I think we're starting to see those rumblings. I'm not encouraging it. I just see it happening. All righty. Let's continue if we shall. We got 10 minutes left and it's chin music. And he says, "Ooh, man, you're right." Hey, what am I, chopped liver here? He says, "This young generation is mostly gone. We'll have to raise a new generation that isn't mentally polluted beyond repair." I'll take a flushing at the education system also. Now, here's my thought on that chin music. Yeah, when an apple goes bad, when it rots all the fruit around it. Nice fruit salad, huh? That's right. There are good young people, lots of them. In fact, they're continuing to show that they reject these left-wing fruits, these rotted left-wing minds. But those left-wing minds that are rotted, guess what? They're not going to go away. They're not going to improve. They're not going to get better. Rot is rot. Now, let's talk about human anatomy and real science. Gangrene is a type of rot that living tissue undergoes. Gangrene. You've heard of something being gangrenous. Hands, fingers, legs. If you get gangrene, which is rot, it will continue to rot the flesh around it until it consumes and kills the being. So how do you stop rot? Amputation. You cut off. You remove that which is rotted and you dispose of it fully. That is how we're going to have to get rid of this. So this young generation, the rotten portions of it, chin music, will need to be excised, removed, amputated, and disposed of, because there is no hope for it. There is no hope for it. There is no place to put them where they'll be productive. The last thing we need is another 30, 40, or 50 million worthless people on welfare that we have to pay for while we rebuild this country. Forget it. Not a chance. Not a chance. I wish there was a country somewhere that they could be flown to, where they can live amongst themselves. All right, let's do this if we shall. Let's move on. I thought I saw Who's Your Daddy in there. Who's Your Life 67? He says, "How about the Michigan fruitcake who..." That's awful. I don't even know if I want to read that. She was doing nasty things with her dog, and her boyfriend had cameras set up, turned her into the police for animal abuse. Don't know what to say. That's definitely someone who's got some issues that probably won't be resolved with a psychologist. Wow. I guess the boyfriend was very upset about that. We can take that off the screen anytime you want, Mr. Ruman. Thank you. That's awful. But is that worse? Don't put it back up there. But is what was just up there, is that worse than what the drag queens do? Ask yourself that. Is that worse? Abusing an animal, is that worse? And it wasn't even like physically beating abuse. It's like the animal is getting a bonus. But it's abuse. It's disgusting, right? Is that worse, though, than what the drag queens are doing to children? Exposing them to their filthy, disgusting sexual acts with one another, with themselves, touching children, allowing children to touch them. Is that worse? Right? What about the girl? And I didn't bring this story up yet, but it's out there. Young girl. In fact, the entire class was told to write an essay on, well, if you had to have a sexual relationship with an adult, who would it be? Since when is that an appropriate fucking topic for school and children? Is that worse? Yeah, it's far worse, because they're abusing kids. Right? You hear about one person abusing a dog. Okay. How about the thousands and tens of thousands and even millions of children who are being subjected to this disgusting, filthy, perverted left-wing crap, critical race theory, which is crap, the racism, which is crap, the progressive bait and switch lie they're teaching kids? I'm telling you, folks, the stench reaches the heavens. And always, in every case, throughout all history, whether you think of this in a secular manner or a religious manner, there is a huge price that is paid. A system that is that filthy cannot, how do we say this? It can't exist. It can't support itself. It is corrupt beyond all reason and accountability, and it's done. It's absolutely done. The system we have now is so corrupt it cannot be fixed. We have to replace it. We have to excise, amputate that which is diseased and replace it. We have the perfect solution, folks, our United States Constitution. There is nothing wrong with that document. What is wrong is that the federal government has been in charge with, well, protecting it, which they haven't done, against all enemies, foreign and domestic, which they haven't done. They've been charged by their oaths to serve the people and protect our rights. And they've absolutely failed. As far as I'm concerned, they have violated their oath, and that should be a crime. I think that needs to be part of the system when it is reborn, when it is rejuvenated, when it is recreated and re-administered. The oath needs to be enforceable. You will go to jail if you violate it, period. All right, we're running out of time. I know we got more to say, and it's Jason Walker. He says, John, food prices are about to soar. No one is talking about the drought that has accompanied the heat wave. Well, I'll tell you what, Jason, that's this year's crops. We are right now eating last year's food that was harvested, agricultural products, food products that are protein, meat, not fake meat, pork, chicken, turkey, beef, all that stuff. Yeah. What we're eating now has been processed. It was produced last year's. So the drought you're talking about now, and the chickens that are wiped out, and the cows that are wiped out, and all these pig farms that are wiped out or shut down, that's next year's food supply. Prices will soar. There's going to be shortages. That's why they're pushing bugs and bio goo created in a lab, sludge that they're calling meat, and that the government is allowing them to call chicken even. It is not chicken, it's sludge. You don't get to assemble a couple of organics and then call it food. These are some sick people, folks, and they don't mind the idea of us becoming sick. Remember, this is the same people, the same mentality that says, well, everyone, pandemic, get your Jim Jones juice. Take it now or else. Take it now or else. People die and they're like, hey, we didn't tell you had to. Fucking liars. That's what they are. All right, do we have something else here, man, or are we going to wrap it up, man? Charles Gentry says the only thing that is keeping the Brics alliance together is hatred of and for the United States government and NATO. Once those threats are taken care of, the real fight will start. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. Brics alliance has not even completed its, shall we say, its primary agenda, which is total independence of the U.S. Federal Reserve dollar. We are not even dealing with the consequences of that yet, folks. And I mean, it's good. Charles, you're absolutely correct. The alliance is held together by hatred for the United States and Europe. And when those threats are taken care of, it's going to take years. We're not just going to go away. The U.S. dollar will not burn to the ground. It may become worth less. There's going to be problems. We're going to have our trouble with food, energy, government, disease, fruitcakes, military, invasion, race wars, social wars, political wars. Yeah. But don't think that will not affect, well, Brazil, which is having its own problems internally, arresting and assassinating their political rivals. Their judicial system's a pile of shit. They produce a lot of food, but if they fall apart and get worse, what do you think communism and socialism is going to do to Brazil, a very powerful nation that produces a lot of food? Yeah, they better get their shit straight and be very serious. But I do agree that there's going to be problems with them in the future. I need to think about it, yes, for the future. but I need to be planned for what's coming up. What's coming up, folks, is not a good scene. Hey, if you know what's going on, that's great. Get yourself ready. Chance favors. The prepared mind is yours. Godspeed, Semper Fi. Thank you, Jolene. Thank you, Mr. Uman. I'm going to check out for now. I'll be back tomorrow, 0 dark 30. And then the Friday free-for-all in the afternoon. And then I'm going to do an aquatic adventure, I think. I'm going to do some aquatic adventure stuff. Oh, yeah. Got a big reveal coming this weekend. There's going to be, that's right, a new face. You'll get to see it. And then Sunday Night Live back here on the Prepared Mind channel. I'll see you then. See you first thing. We'll get there. Get prepared, folks. All those items. Me, you, us, we're thinking about it. Semper Fi. God bless America.